The Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has confirmed the former President of the Senate, Adolphus Wabara, as the substantive chairman of the party's BOT. Wabara was appointed as the interim chairman of the PDP BOT in 2022, following the departure of the previous BOT chairman, Wike Jibrin, who resigned from his position. Also, former governor of Kaduna State, Ahmed Malkafi, was also appointed as the BOT secretary, replacing former Minister of Special Duties, Kabir Turaki. Joining us now from Kaduna State on the morning show is Mark Jacob, a former national legal advisor of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Thank you for joining us, Mark Jacob. You're welcome to the morning show.
Good morning, Dr. Abati.
Thank you very much. Well, I mean, the BOT had been advised, the PDP had been advised before now to put its house in order. On Monday, the PDP Governors Forum were quoted as having said, look, the various organs of the party should begin to function. Meetings should be called. NWC should summon meeting, BOT should meet. And now the Board of Trustees met with former governors there, and Senator Adolphus Wabara has now been confirmed as BOT chairman, and then Senator Ahmed Malkafi as secretary of the BOT. What is the signal? Does this mean that there is now the beginning of reconciliation that failed in the past, peace in the PDP, and is this the rehabilitation of Senator Malkafi, who had been chairman before, had issues with the opposition that came from Alimodu Sheriff, Senator Alimodu Sheriff. The matter even went to court and all of that, you know, adding to the crisis in the party. But now the same Senator Malkafi has returned as a BOT secretary. Just take us through what the implications are.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abati. Before that, I can see you are in red, all of you in the studio. Sorry, I should have changed my tie to be in sync with you. Now, back to the issue. Honestly, it's a welcome development that at least we have a BOT substantive chairman, and we have a secretary of the BOT that is well respected within the ranks of the PDP. However, it is not yet uhuru for the PDP. I must say this frankly, that a lot of people expect a lot from the PDP. Beyond what is going on today, we have let down a lot of our teaming supporters in the country. A lot of people no longer have joy or confidence in the party. Morale is very low through the ranks of the party, and it's very easy to know why. People expected and still expect PDP to do much more than it is doing. Every democracy around the world, but particularly in Nigeria, needs a virile, healthy opposition. An opposition that is well-grounded and can meet up and stand up for those who are not in government. But it is without any doubt that the PDP has not played this role. Instead, over the months, we have been involved in internal wranglings. We have had echoes of the pre-election crisis. We have had very terrible issues where within the NWC there is a terrible situation going on where there are questions surrounding the position of the National Secretary, whether he was right to have gone to contest primaries to be governor and still come back and retain his position as National Secretary. Now, these issues have all gone down to water down the position of the PDP in the national polity. And we cannot pretend that all is well. Since before the election, I can say without any doubt that the fractionalization of the PDP before the elections in 2023 led us to where we are today as a political party. We laid the foundation for the failure at the polls, and we must take responsibility for that. The organs of the party that ought to checkmate individual excesses failed to perform their duties, from the Board of Trustees to the NEC to every other organ, prior and immediately before the elections, failed woefully in handling the affairs of the party. Those individuals who, by acts of omission or commission, that made sure the PDP failed, are still within the party without sanctions. And they are occupying very big positions. So it gives an impression that there is no discipline within the party, there is no respect for the general good of the party, individual misgivings, individual interests have appeared to take center stage and determine the actions of members instead of the collective interest. And the party is paying dearly for that. Nigeria, like I said, in a democracy, needs a virile, healthy opposition party. This, the PDP has failed to provide. And that is why we now have situations where individuals, like the candidate of the PDP, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, appears to be alone in raising critical questions as regards governance to the current administration. It ought not to be an individual venture. The opposition party ought to be raising these issues boldly and correctly. What the person of the former vice president, its candidate at the 2023 polls, is doing is supposed to be the work of the National Working Committee and all the organs of the party. Unfortunately, everybody is quiet, deaf, and dumb. The ruling party appears to be on a roller coaster, enjoying and doing whatever it wants. And when people like His Excellency Atiku Abubakar talk, they are quickly shut down as sole losers, as if they are just talking because they lost the election. Now, this ought not to be if the political party was playing its role. Okay. This is lacking. Okay. And honestly, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Jacob. You've said so many things in your opening remark. And I just want to point out something you mentioned with regards to the fact that individuals have pursued personal interests at the expense of the interests of the party. Now, following Mr. Wabara's election or appointment as chairman, pardon, his affirmation as chairman, I'd like to ask, in terms of his first actions, would you think that he should begin to bring factions together? So what should he do with regards to factions such as the G5? I mean, it looks like Governor Seyi Makinde is now coming on board with the PDP, despite his alliance with the G5 led by FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. How do you think he ought to begin to bring these factions together so that the PDP can begin to speak with one voice and solve the internal divisions within the party?
Well, he has started with a meeting, but just like we had before the elections, individual efforts will not arrive or take us anywhere. There are several organs of the party that have work to do, and one of those organs is the NEC. NEC comprises the BOT members, it comprises governors, it comprises National Assembly members, it comprises the National Working Committee. And for me, that is the highest decision-making body of the party before you go to the General Convention. Now, since before the election, the last NEC of the party that met was several months before the election. And since then, there has been no NEC meeting. And a lot of critical negative things have happened. NEC ought to have made to take decisions, even decisions that will affect the members of the NWC, or even in those what the BOT is doing. Because BOT, by the Constitution, is largely advisory. The people or the organ that has power is the NEC. NEC has not been convened since before the elections. And we are, I think, 8 months after the elections also, there has been no NEC meeting. So the party has been run without the endorsement of its highest decision-making organ. And that cannot be healthy. Anybody running an organization like that is actually shortchanging the organization of the input of its germane and very strong base. The NEC is the strong base of the party. And that NEC has never been convened since before the elections. And things are just moving. So yes, it is very healthy that the BOT is now fully constituted. And like I said, BOT is largely advisory. As far as we can judge from history, even the decisions or words of the BOT have been ignored in the past. And it's unfortunate, but that is because BOT, with all respect, cannot discipline anybody. But if a party member or even an official of the party misbehaves, it is the NEC that has the power to sanction such a person. So importantly, besides reconstituting and strengthening the BOT, the next step I think the BOT chairman should be working on is to get NEC to meet and to be frank at the meetings and discuss all issues placed on the table. When you convene NEC and you don't allow discussions to flow, you don't allow issues to be brought to the table for real discussion, the party will go on with a cancer without curing it. And that is what we should be looking at. And I hope the BOT and the NWC would be bold enough to convene a NEC meeting as soon as possible. We all know that various interests, individual interests particularly, have led to the failure of the party in most of the states or all of the states that have had rerun elections. And it is such a terrible thing that individuals are responsible for most of these things. Simply because your interest or your desire to occupy a certain position has been denied, people openly go out to work against the party. And then they remain in the party. This can be found, it's replicated in various states where people deliberately say they are going to make sure the party fails. And they do it, and nothing happens to them. So this is the kind of scenario that you could never have imagined you will do during the beautiful days of Solomon La, Ahmadu Ali, and other national chairmen. During that time, you dare not try that, even as a governor. If you do it, they will sanction you, and nothing, the heavens will not fall. But we have situations where today, individuals, either as governors or senators, will boldly stand up and say they are going to make sure the party fails. And they do it, and nothing happens to them. There is no organization, even the motor park touts, there is no organization that can succeed under such a situation.
Okay, can I come in here? I see you didn't comment on yes. Senator McCarthy. You recall that, PDP crisis began even before Wike and the G5, beginning with when the party was divided into the McCarthy faction and the Modu Sheriff faction. And then, of course, you know what happened during the primaries leading to the 2019 process, when Senator McCarthy was one of the persons who participated in the presidential primaries. And I was asking, is this the rehabilitation, in a sense, of the McCarthy faction of the party? And then the other part is the G5. You've been harping on sanctions and discipline. Now that the BOT is looking at the state of the party, and there's going to be a NEC meeting, which is one of the recommendations of the governors, are you saying that persons like Senator Chimaroke Nnamani, who publicly campaigned for now President Bola Tinubu, and someone like former governor, now minister, Nyesom Wike, who led a rebellion on, he continues to insist, ideological grounds, that you can't have the chairman of the party and the presidential candidate from the same party, and he wanted that slot of the presidency zoned to the south. Now, should somebody like Wike specifically, should he be sanctioned? And then all the other persons who were with him in the G5 or the unity group, as they later also called themselves. So just be specific, because you know who the culprits are.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abati. First of all, the McCarthy issue was settled by the courts.
Yes.
When the judgment came, declaring clearly who was the legitimate party chairman. And so there was no faction again after that court decision. The party went on smoothly, conducted the elections in 2019, and lost. So the issue of McCarthy faction did not exist at the national level. There was no faction again. And as you will recall, Modu Sharif and his gang left and joined the APC. So there was no problem at all. Some of them are governors now under the APC since they left the PDP with Modu Sharif. And there has been no mention or reference to them. McCarthy certainly does not require rehabilitation in the PDP, because after that decision, he governed or administered the party with the other organs of the party without any distractions. Now, on the issue of sanctions, my position has never been hidden that no matter how strong you are as an individual, you can never succeed when you are fighting your own family. It doesn't matter what your issues or your rights are. You can continue. It's just like turning against members of your family, and the entire energy you have is directed at your own home. Of course, there will be no progress in your home. There will be no champion either. You cannot also claim that you are happy where you are. When you are fighting the entire energy you have and the whole resources you have, you are using them against members of your family. That is no fight. That is internal degradation. You are degrading yourself, you are destroying your own base, and wherever you go, you are still a stranger. Everybody in that other family you are joining sees you as an interloper, does not trust you, and cannot trust you. So these are the issues. Agreed. Some of us were the forerunners in the campaign for power shift to the south. We campaigned for that. But we also respect party decision. If you are interested in power shift, it must not be something you are doing for yourself as an individual. People were saying that power should shift to the south. Some of us agreed. Some of us campaigned for it without being paid by anybody. But we were thinking that when you say south, south should not be defined as you, which is what played out in the 2023 elections, where individuals were masquerading behind the general or acceptable principle of power shift to the south, but they were actually campaigning for themselves. Everybody now knows that the campaign for power shift by Wike and his group was largely for themselves. It was not for everybody in the south. Otherwise, people like Peter Obi should have been given the slot of the PDP.
Okay. Will you recommend?
We found out later.
Will you recommend
everything?
Will you recommend?
Yes.
Will you recommend that Minister Wike and the likes of Chief Olabode George and others who were in the G5 should be expelled by the party? Briefly.
You know, personally, I would have recommended that as gentlemen, they will resign from the party. Because if I am against the decisions of the party, and I have made enough, I've raised enough issues to warrant my position being adopted. If my issues are not adopted, the law allows me to leave the party. and join another
yes or no,
political
sir?
party.
Would you,
But
in
I
the
cannot,
event,
in good conscience.
yes or no? If,
Yes.
if they do not resign, should they be expelled? Yes or no? Because of our time. If they do not
Yes.
resign, should they be expelled?
They should be disciplined. They should be sanctioned. There are provisions in the Constitution that talk of a procedure.
All right.
You sometimes, you first of all give a warning. Next, you suspend. There's a legitimate procedure.
All right.
And I believe the party should follow that procedure.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mark Jacob, for your time with us this morning.